somebody asked a question about this last week about Zoe Zephyr in Montana. But the GOP voted to ban her for the rest of the legislative session. I don't know if anyone else has covered this and wants to lead.
I interviewed Aaron Reed yesterday.
Oh, do you want to talk about this, Lance? Because this is such a huge...
Totally.
Yeah. I think that Zoe Zephyr is a badass and her story needs to be heard.
She's an incredible badass. She gave this incredibly impassionate speech where it basically ended with, the other side. There was this TERF in the audience who was basically standing up and being like, like, we don't want this stuff happening to children, blah, blah. And it ended with like Zoe straight up being like, then you have blood on your hands, pretty much. And so they did the undemocratic thing of, even though Zoe can't affect the vote, like she's not able to stop the vote. Her vote would not stop this bill from going through, but they silenced her and they're not allowing her to speak because, again, they're scared of the words, these right wingers. And man, like she stood there, held the microphone up there like a fucking legend. And then all of a sudden, if you see the upper deck, if you watch the footage, in come the police and all these people chanting, let her speak, let her speak. And then you see all these fucking cops come out of nowhere. So like at one point, they just like push this old lady out of the way so they can actually like start hitting someone else. I was like, whoa, this shit is going down. But why isn't the free speech crowd say anything about this? Like they've been just absolute radio silence about this.
Yeah, and you want to know what they're calling this? They're calling this an insurrection. That justified her being banished. The same exact justification for Justin Pearson and Justin Jones getting banished from Tennessee, right? Oh, it was an insurrection. So this is the go-to tactic. It's an insurrection, and that's how they stifle democracy and free speech. But what I loved is that, maybe we can find it, in Zoe's speech, she finally had the opportunity to speak, because what the Freedom Caucus had demanded was that she apologize because she dared to say that they'd have blood on their hands if they passed a ban on gender-affirming care for trans youth. But in her speech, it was incredible. It was powerful. Let me try to find it because I want people to see this. Like, it is, what she says here is really important because she doubles down and basically is defiant and says, fuck you. Like, I'm paraphrasing. She didn't say that, but, she reiterated that what they're doing is literally killing people. In fact, somebody had reached out with a trans kid to her and said that just watching the session, like their trans kid tried to unalive themselves. So like she's trying to explain to them the impact that their bills are having even before they're passed, and they're ignoring her. But let me try to find that speech because it's really good.
Aaron had two kind of really happy anecdotes. One being that someone actually had the opposite, where they were going to unalive themselves and they didn't because they saw how impassioned Zoe was speaking, which is just like, such an incredible moment in history. And then someone, while I was interviewing Aaron and she was telling me that story, someone in my chat popped up and said, can you tell the same thing to Aaron right now? Because that happened to me. If it wasn't for her YouTube channel back in these years ago, I would have done the same thing. So can you please thank her for me? And I was like, wow. This is incredible when you see those kind of moments, right? Like they're really beautiful, touching.
This is why representation is so important. I just found the video. I posted it in our private chat, but yeah, this is really what they're doing to her is so fucked up, but predictable. But her speech is really good.
It is my honor today, as with every day in this battle, to rise on behalf of my constituents in House District 100 from Missoula, Montana, who elected me to be their representative in the People's House. Today, I rise in defense of those constituents, of my community, and of democracy itself. Last week, I spoke on the governor's amendments to Senate Bill 99, which banned gender-affirming care. This was a bill that was one of many targeting the LGBTQ community in Montana. This legislature has systematically attacked that community. We have seen bills targeting our art forms, our books, our history, and our healthcare. And I rose up in defense of my community that day, speaking to harms that these bills bring and that I have firsthand experience knowing about. I have had friends who have taken their lives because of these bills. I have fielded calls from families in Montana, including one family whose trans teenager attempted to take her life while watching a hearing on one of the anti-trans bills. And in that hearing, our caucus pleaded with the Republican chair of the Judiciary Committee to not allow certain testimony, to keep decorum. And we were told a lot of people have a lot of opinions on these things. So when I rose up and said, "There is blood on your hands," I was not being hyperbolic. I was speaking to the real consequences of the votes that we as legislators take in this body. And when the speaker asks me to apologize, what he is, on behalf of decorum, what he is really asking me to do is be silent when my community is facing bills that get us killed. He is asking me to be complicit in this legislature's eradication of our community, and I refuse to do so, and I will always refuse to do so. I would also say that if you use decorum to silence people who hold you accountable, then in the name of all you are doing is using decorum as a tool of oppression. Additionally, when the speaker disallowed me to speak, what he was doing is taking away the voices of the 11,000 Montanans who elected me to speak on their behalf. And when I continued to not be recognized, what my constituents in my community did is came here and said, "That is our voice in this body. Let her speak. Let her speak." And when the speaker gavelled down the people demanding that democracy work, demanding that their representative be heard, when he gavelled down, what he was doing is driving a nail in the coffin of democracy.
Yeah.
Damn, that's good.
Powerful stuff. Yeah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. I just want to add also, because there's like things are escalating quickly. To every single LGBTQ person watching this, make sure that you have an action plan. If you need to leave your particular state, it may come to that in the near future. So link up with other trans people and LGBTQ allies across the country. Try to do that. Have your passport ready in case you have to flee the state. And also really, really importantly, because this is nothing that I paid attention to before, pay very close attention to local school board meetings, because right-wingers are infiltrating these, trying to take them over, even in blue states. And so even if at your state they're good and they're a trans refugee state, for example, well, at the local level, you can have these parents that are anti-LGBTQ take it over. And so if you have like a trans child that goes to that school, they can completely control what is and isn't appropriate. So these little small things that none of us are paying attention to at the local level, you need to really get involved, especially now, and protect yourself, because things are only deteriorating in this country. And if Republicans win the presidency in 2024, I can only imagine it's going to get worse, because look at all that they're doing now. But if they have like national control, I fear for people in this country, LGBTQ plus
get
families.
The fuck out when that happens, in other words.
Yeah. Andrea and I talked about this when we were on your show about like an action plan to leave. Like I remember talking about, getting my own passport, ready and whatnot, because things are getting bad. Like I don't think it's ever been this bad.
And just to really get for people to know how, this isn't just affecting, like, this is stupid to like have to bring somebody of a celebrity status up, but just to show you just how it affects everyone regardless of your means. I mean, they had the means to get out, but
the
NBA star Dwayne Wade just announced in an interview that he had to get his family out of Florida because his family wasn't going to be safe there. He has a trans daughter, and I mean, when someone of that stature is fucking telling you that we had to get out, even, then I mean, it's a big fucking deal. I mean, it shouldn't have to get to that level where celebrity is saying that and it should mean something. But I think in this case, it's important for people to understand that this is a big fucking deal. Like, all the money in the world isn't going to save you from what's going on here.
Yeah, and people are saying in the chat, rightfully so, that like you have to have the means to move, right? You can't just get up and leave. So because of the situation deteriorating, there are organizations popping up that you could look into. For example, I got an email from the founder of Transport, which is an organization to basically move LGBTQ plus refugees to locations where they need to be. But that's why I also emphasize that we have Twitter, we have social media. Try to link up with a trans person or LGBTQ plus ally across the country, so where if you need to flee, they can potentially provide you with shelter. Like these are things that you have to take into account, like preparations that you should make. Have 1 or 2 action plans. Make sure that you protect yourself. If you don't have a gun, you can pick up a taser. You can get a tase gun for like $400. You need to learn self-defense. The situation is getting bad, and I'm just telling you now that we're all kind of like frogs in a boiling pot of water, right? You don't know the exact point when you need to jump out when it gets too hot, but it's boiling. We know that the pot is boiling. So just take precautions now, get your passport ready, and take these threats seriously. I'm not saying that it's gonna come to like mass murder, but I'm saying that things are gonna get bad and you need to prepare. I just really want to stress that.
Yeah, and vigilante shit is way more likely to happen soon than like the government doing anything. Like a Republican president could get in there and just like have a DOJ that says doesn't prosecute, vigilante justice or whatever they want to refer to it as. And there you go. So, it's not like, using legislative timetables is not always the best way to go about this kind of stuff too.
Right. I also want to say, I mean, live your life and go about what you do. Don't stop having fun. And I don't want to end up like one of those fucking fear-mongering Civil War II is coming over on the right. Just like, this is just like basic stuff that
buckets. Kinder buckets.
We're not going to be selling
buckets. Come on.
Get your hey trans community, get your Escape Florida pack here today.
Actually, I was going to hawk this bucket at the end of the show, and so I
you were waiting.
I'm selling survival packs. It has 14 MREs. It has a stun gun, some maze. No, but yeah, that's a good point. Like I don't think that you should live in fear for sure, but you just have to be practical about these things. Have a plan in place, and for God's sake, don't hide yourself, right? Don't start self-censoring. Like coming out and being yourself is what normalizes these things, but just protect yourself. Be cognizant of like your location and where you need to be more safe. Even if it's in a blue state, a particular area might be more rural, less accepting. Just be aware, and that's really important.
I'll also add one little piece of hopium is that this has been tried before many, many times in the past, and they've never succeeded. They've come after the gays in the 80s. They've come after lesbians. The Nazis were straight up coming after the LGBTQ plus community. They have tried and they have failed, and they will always fucking fail.
I see y'all are at the calm everybody down from the fear that y'all stoked. I could hear it from the bathroom, but I hate to come in and say that they are in fact factually coming for that ass on all the rights. Like factually, they just are. That's what my episode on Illuminaughtii is actually about tomorrow on the actual teaching. I'll give y'all a rant later on about how law school is made so unnecessarily hard, because I was very angry at how easy I could explain in 5 minutes in my episode a legal set of stuff that they really dragged out very painfully in law school. But anyhow, they are actually coming for your fucking rights, like explicitly, right? Like all your right, like the right to abortion and stuff is all anchored in the exact same constitutional thread as the right to gay marriage, the right to sodomy, right? The right to any, with them calling it sodomy. But you know what I'm saying? All these different things. So they're actually materially coming for your right. They might have I don't know what they did before, but they actually taking your shit. Like it's actually, you see it's happening, right? That's why they went after abortion and they went after gender affirming care. Now they're trying to go after no-fault divorce. This is a means to control and strip away, marginalize the rights of marginalized identities and civil liberties that they previously cast. So I'm not saying don't live in fear. I'm not saying that, but don't delude yourself, because remember when people were telling them that they were they were telling them for years that they're coming for the right to abortion, and people, oh no, they wouldn't do that. It's settled. Everybody's fine with abortion. It's not gonna happen. No. The court said. And then now ain't no fucking right to abortion. Now it's banned in 15 states, severely restricted in 17. So I'm just saying, don't live in fear, but also be fucking aware. They are in fact coming for your shit.
Be active. Go join organizations. Join local LGBTQ plus orgs. If you don't have them in your area, there's lots of other orgs you can join. Food Not Bombs is a really good one. The Democratic Socialists in a lot of different cities do feeding programs, shit like that. But just get active, get involved, and then you'll get a lot more people in your community. You'll be safer numbers. It's one of the reasons why, and I think me and Mike have talked about this a lot, we fight so hard against organizations like the LGB Alliance or whatever, or Gays Against Groomers and stuff like that, because they are intentionally trying to separate members of the LGBTQ plus, because you are safer when you have unity. You are safer when you have allies. You are safer when people like actually like what has flipped my script a little bit on rainbow washing is the fact that for some weird reason right now, so much of the right is going after Disney. You know, that makes me happy. Or like, you know, shooting up Bud Light cans and stuff like that. It's like, well, at least that's distracting you for a little bit. That's the one less moment that you are thinking about going after like trans kids or passing legislation or any of this kind of shit. You know, it's but get involved is my point.